Surrounded by snow, all I can see is white. The bitterness bites into my skin, causing my bones to ache from the cold. I have been wandering in this wasteland for hours. It is strange. The numbness in my feet has given way to agony. I can feel each and every nerve as I step. Even the trees have disappeared into nothingness. Their branches are covered in snow, making them hide amongst the icy depths of the blizzard. The wind howls through the trees. That is the only way that I know they're still around me. There is a gentle song that seems to hang in the air. It was hard to hear at first, but with each step, it becomes more apparent. Her voice is beautiful. I've never heard a song as sweet in my life. Indeed, the snow blindness is driving me mad. Surely this madness is the final path of my journey. Soon the cold will take me and let me rest. Finally, my strength gives way, and I find my body starting to fail me. It wants to lay down and rest. My eyes are heavy, and I want to sleep. When did I lie down? It is time to sleep now. You look lost, my love. Let me help you, my love. Where did this warmth come from? Soft arms are wrapping around me, and I'm being cradled softly against someone. Gathering my strength, I open my eyes. There is a woman cradling my head against her breast. Her black eyes are looking down at me tenderly, like a lost lover's gaze, so full of love and compassion. Her skin is pale white. It is the same colour of the snow, and her lips, not quite red, more like a dark purple. Her hand is touching my cheek. Those long, slender fingers are caressing my skin lovingly. I found you, my love. Do not ever leave me again. Her voice was so tender. Who are you? My voice was still weak from the cold, the warmth escaping my mouth, letting out white wisps of steam. Kira, it is me, Asuna. My voice was still fuzzy, but I knew my name was not Kira, but I was too weak to argue. You're lucky that I found you. Normally when I see lost travellers, I let them freeze. Kira, you will survive this day, but do not tell anyone about me, and you have to visit me every year. Asuna was the last words I said before I passed out. Eventually I came to, and I found myself in the hospital. The nurses said I was lucky that someone found me near the road. I almost froze to death. I was in the hospital for a week recovering. Somehow I managed not to get any frostbite and kept all my fingers and toes. One of the nurses was very attractive, and she took great care of me. Her name was Miku, and she was beautiful. She had long dark straight hair, soft full lips, and the darkest black eyes I'd ever seen. She made my heart beat fast each time she came into my room. We started dating, and things started to get very serious. We were even discussing marriage. This was the woman I wanted to share my life with. I had almost forgotten about the woman in the snow. Maybe it was all a snow-infused dream, and it was a figment of my imagination. It was almost a year since I was released from the hospital. Miku and I were engaged to be married. There was an unsettling feeling in my soul. I knew I needed to do something, but I could not remember. The anniversary started to approach. I started to feel cold all the time. I could never get warm, no matter how many clothes I wore. One day, I noticed my fingers were starting to ache and feel numb. It hurt to walk, almost like the nerves in my feet were dying. As the days progressed further, my fingers started to darken, and I started to panic. What was happening to me? I was losing the ability to use my fingers. They were getting stiff. I went to see a doctor, and he told me that I was suffering from frostbite in my fingers and feet, and if it continued, they'd have to amputate them. Why was I being cursed? There was a feeling in the pit of my stomach that I had done something wrong. Miku was getting worried at my deteriorating condition. She cried every night. When I saw her crying, I knew I had to talk to her. I explained to her about the dream I had in the snow a year ago, and about the woman, Asuna, and how she saved my life. Miku was shocked. I did not think she believed me. Hell, I didn't even believe what I was saying. I sounded like a madman. We went to bed that night, and the thoughts of Asuna plagued my mind. Had I done the right thing? Eventually, sleep came. I dreamed of the woman in the snow. She stood in front of me. Her eyes were no longer full of love, but contained only rage. I told you, Asuna screamed. Her voice echoed in my ears. Told no one of me, and you had to visit me every year. You are like the rest of them. You are just like him who left me to die in the snow, she shrieked. My eyes shot open, and I sat up in bed screaming. Miku was asleep next to me. I reached over to touch her with my dead fingers. Even though my fingers were black and numb, I could feel the coldness of her body next to me. Panicking, I turned on the light and I looked at my love. Her skin was blue, and it reflected the light. Her frozen hair was stiff and stuck to the side of her face, and her eyes were open, but something did not look right. They were gone. There were only 2 ice balls where her eyes should have been. There was a thin layer of ice that covered her entire body. Kira, I told you not to tell anyone. I was willing to share you with this whore. You just had to keep your mouth shut and come and visit me once a year. Was that too much to ask? Asuna's voice came from the darkness. Looking all around the room, I couldn't see her, but I could hear her breathing. But she was not there. Kira, it is time for you to learn your lesson. Are you ready? I screamed at her my name wasn't Kira. Laughter bounced off the walls. It was the laughter of a mad woman. A cold hand reached out of the darkness. I saw its white, slender fingers appear in front of me. I felt it wrap around my neck. The warmth was sucked out through her fingers. I could feel the blood starting to slow and crystallize. Asuna's face appeared before me. Those black eyes were staring right through me. Kira, are you ready? I tried to answer her, but her grasp was too strong. Asuna leaned forward and pressed those purple lips against mine. I could feel my breath starting to leave my lungs, but it seemed to freeze in my throat, sealing it closed. I could not breathe. My chest was burning, desperately seeking oxygen. Goodbye, my sweet Kira. She smiled at me, and my heart stopped beating. I am afraid to sleep. It fills me with dread that I cannot put into words. My mind screams at me each time that I put my head on the pillow. I see her shadow each time I enter my bedroom. Her seductive form haunts the edge of my sight. Her black kimono guides as she stalks my sleep. I hear it each time I close my eyes. Her long black hair rustles against the kimono. It whispers to me as she comes closer. I hear her whisper sweet promises to me that if I sleep, she will take away all my dreams. Growing up, I was plagued by nightmares. The demons and devils never let me rest. They would stalk me through dark forests of twisted branches that would always tear at my flesh as I got near them. They would howl with pleasure as these beasts tore at my skin. The sound of my screams would always wake me up. The fear of sleeping would disturb the waking world. I would always have dark circles under my eyes as a child, and no one would believe me about the demons. Eventually, when I turned 16 years old, I'd had enough of these nightmares, and it was time to do something about it. I managed to get a bottle of sleeping pills and decided that I would go to sleep forever. But it made a bad situation even worse, because that was when I met her. Sleep came to me that night, and for the first time in years I did not see the demons or devils. I was not chased. Instead, I was greeted by a woman in a black kimono. She was playing a flute It was beautiful. Her slender fingers floated over the reeds. I could almost see the notes she was playing. As I approached her, she lowered the flute from her red lips. She smiled at me and motioned for me to sit down across from her. I sat down on the cold floor. I could feel the cold starting to seep into my body. I studied her face intently. She was beautiful. Her beauty seemed unnatural, and it disturbed me a little bit. Those demons that stalk you do so because of the power within your dreams. Your mind is free and innocent, and they want to eat your dreams. I can protect you from them. Would you like that? Her words were seductive. I nodded my head slowly. I would do anything to have a peaceful night's sleep again. Let us confirm the deal. Give me your hand. Reaching out my hand, the woman took it. Her touch was soft and tender, and I could feel the heat from her. With her other hand, she pressed her finger against my palm and traced something on my hand. I started to feel immense pain. It was like I was being burned. Steam started to rise from my palm, and the smell of burnt flesh entered my nostrils, causing them to flare involuntarily. My eyes went wide as she pressed her nail deeper into my skin. The pact is done. Wake up. I was back in my bed, sitting up. I could feel a burning pain in my palm. Turning on my bedside lamp, I could see that my palm was burnt and blistered. From that day forth, I would see her. She would stalk the edge of my vision. That dark shadow was always there. Whenever I walked past a mirror of a night time, she would be there, staring at me. Her eyes were always hungry. When sleep would come, I would dream of nothingness. There'd be just darkness. But I could always feel her laying next to me as I slept. Her fingers were always caressing my hair. It did not bring me comfort, only terror. When the morning came, I would feel fatigued and my muscles would hurt. As the days progressed, I started to lose my appetite, and in turn, I lost weight. She would visit me every night and stroke my hair as I slept, and every day, I would become sicker. Tonight will be the end of this. As I lay in bed waiting for her to come to guide me to sleep, I reach for my desk drawer next to my bed. Pulling it open, I see the item I need. I throw the pills into my mouth and swallow them before she enters. Her soft footsteps start approaching my room. I hear them gliding over the floor with a soft rustle. The dark shadow passes through the threshold and enters. I can barely feel her sitting down next to me on the bed. If I didn't know her presence, I would have never known she was there. Those long fingers started to reach for my head. They paused for a moment and didn't touch my hair. Instead, I felt burning pressure around my throat as she started squeezing the life out of me. You think you are such a smart boy, taking those things to keep you awake. Do you really think that will save you? How wrong you are, boy. You have broken our contract. The air in my lungs was burning. I could not inhale or exhale. My throat was collapsing under her grip. They were not demons in your dreams. They were yokai, who were trying to keep me away from you. You really are a fool. You willingly signed your soul to me. Her beautiful eyes started to darken with hatred. Her lips started to tear and split, revealing sharp-pointed teeth that were stained a deep brown colour. And that lovely dark hair started to move on its own. Each strand started to move independently of the others. My lungs were dying for one breath. I needed it more than life itself. I started pulling at her hand, digging my nails into the skin, tearing at it frantically. The fear in my heart was tearing and ripping at it with its dark talons. I knew that my life was almost over. Her grasp weakened for a moment, allowing me to gulp a mouthful of air. The burning feeling lessened for a split second. I'm not going to let you go just yet, boy, she laughed, pinning my head back down by the throat. Watching her hair, a few strands started entwined together in small braids, and they started moving in front of my eyes. The hair was getting closer and closer, squeezing my eyes tight. I didn't want to look anymore. I felt something soft but stiff starting to move over my closed eyelids. It felt like a few strands were pushing their ways through the cracks and going into my eyes. My eyelids were forced open. I could see a tangle of black hair in front of my vision. Oh, silly boy. You really don't want to watch, do you? Pain started to explode in my left eye. As her hair wrapped around it, I could feel the pressure increasing as it wrapped tighter and tighter, screaming out in pain. I could hear my eye starting to rupture from the pressure. Yes, scream for me. Her face twisted into a mask of pure pleasure as she crushed my eye. The left side of my face felt hollow where my eye used to be. With her other hand, she reached down and grabbed something, bringing up for my other eye to see. I realized it was the soft, fleshy mess of my other eye. Her long tongue flicked out of her deformed mouth and licked her lips seductively, moistening her lips and getting ready for the next act of blasphemy. She placed the remains of my eye on her long tongue and it wrapped around it completely before she sucked it back into her mouth, swallowing it whole. I don't know what tasted better, your eye or your screams. I don't know when my mind broke, but I started laughing at her. My maniacal howl seemed to startle her for a moment. It seemed like I disturbed her fun time. Oh, I see. How am I meant to play with a broken toy? She let go of my throat and stood up. Turning her back, she started to walk out of the room. She paused at the doorway and whispered, "Just because I cannot play with you anymore doesn't mean that I can't eat those twisted dreams, my sweet little boy." With that, she was gone in an instant. That was 5 years ago. I am now 21 years old. I've been locked in this facility and I am heavily medicated with medications which stop the dreams, and I have not seen her since. But I always feel her presence just before I go to sleep. She is waiting for me to get off these medications so she can return to torturing me. My charade of being insane is working, but I fear the doctors suspect I am faking most of my problems. Today, a doctor told me that they are stopping all medications to see what happens. I begged him not to do it. I screamed at him. He started laughing. I recognized that laugh. It was hers. I am doomed. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's lullabies. If you enjoy my content, please like, comment, and subscribe. And if you like these urban legend series, please let me know in the comments down below. Also, according to the analytics, 67% of you are not subscribed. So if you think I'm doing a good job, please hit that subscribe button. And remember, keep watching for what's in the dark.